All right, I guess we are live. Let me just jump over to YouTube here to make sure everything is going good. Okay, we are live right now. Holy shit. Testing out OBS for the first time. Let me just quickly share this. All right. Got a couple good stories. Gonna be doing this the good way. All right. And post this on Facebook as well. I haven't done a live stream with OBS yet, so this is as much a test as literally anything else. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to do. Let me just get this thing going. Post that to Facebook. Got it up on the Twitters. Just need to know if you guys can hear me okay. That's really all I care about at this point. All right. Sound is good. You guys can see the logo and everything else. Fantastic. Dusty, no face cam just yet. Unfortunately, I need to go get my computer absolutely serviced because Windows 10 will not let me work with the webcam. So I have been trying to try out new things, and this is the new one. Jax on Rocks, man, I'm really sorry to hear about your grandmother. Mine died 4 years ago. I know what you're feeling. So send in lots of love your way today, definitely. I'm glad, Moish, that the thumbnail triggered some dick. We're going to get to that story towards the end. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I picked up some good stuff. Sorry, hey, Drunken Aussie, good. We can do this thing just right. So, yeah, this is, again, this is still a test. We're going to make this thing go as well as we can. And as soon as I get it more locked down, this will happen at a standard time. So stream schedules are incoming. So yeah. So there's all that. Gage, were you at the meetup last night? Is that what's going on? Frostbite, yeah, Mad Cat's closed, man. Like they've been shit for years though. They've been really shit for years. I had a good friend of mine who worked at Mad Catz as a designer, and he left years ago, but the company was gone. So, yeah, the last link in the description, Tariq, that's going to be the fun story of the night. Oh, she fell. Okay, she survived. Okay, because I just put these together, and I must have misread that. So, I'm glad she survived. That fucking video scared the shit out of me. So, let's jump into this. Jump into the shall we? So we're just gonna click that off and bring up this. See, look at this, is fancy. I got the fucking the article right there, and I've got I've got the chat right here. So we're gonna go. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let me get on the right fucking story. So all right. So Kuwait woman detained for filming maid suicide attempt without helping. Oh, it was a suicide attempt. Okay. See, I saw the video floating around the other day. Right. I saw the video floating around. And that was a disturbing video to watch. I didn't know the woman had attempted to commit suicide. There was no context to the video. It was just like the woman sitting there and like hanging on the side of the building and like calling for help, it seemed like. And then the lady's got her phone. It's like, hey, what's going on? And then she just falls and then hits that thing. And it's one of the most horrifying videos I think I've seen, because like you don't know the context. So it's a suicide attempt. So that's totally something different here. It says here, Kuwaiti police have detained a woman for filming her Ethiopian maid falling from the 7th floor in an apparent suicide attempt without trying to rescue her. Media and a rights group said on Friday. Can we believe though that it was a suicide attempt? It didn't seem like a suicide attempt. Maybe that's just me. All right, maybe it's just me, but I don't think that was a suicide attempt, because it was just. It's still like the complete indifference of the woman filming is why I don't think it was a suicide attempt. That is, unless they got into this huge fight and the maid's like, I'm gonna kill myself right now, you know, like a petulant teenager. And then all of a sudden, like the woman is just like, do it. I fucking triple dog dare you. Do it. You know, like that's That sounds fucking horrible. I would show the video here, but this is a stream. And I don't want to get my channel shut down. I guess if she lived, then it's really not so bad. So it says here, the Kuwaiti woman filmed her maid surviving. Okay, thank God she survived. A landing on a metal awning, then posted the incident on social media because that's of course what you do. But at the same time, listen. At the same time, well, I would definitely try to save this woman's life if it was me. I kind of get the mindset of the Kuwaiti woman. I don't agree with it, but I get it. You know, it's like when I went to the Not My President protest, right? Like flashbangs started going off and my ass didn't even like fucking drop the camera. I'm like holding it over my head and running away. So it's like we have this desire to film stuff and then this desire to share it. And the more fucked up it is, the more interesting it is to an extent. That being said, I'm so glad the woman survived. The 12-second video shows the maid hanging outside the building with one hand tightly gripping the window frame as she begs for help in an apparent last-minute change of mind. The woman holding the camera is heard telling the hanging maid, "Oh, crazy, come back." So that's what she was saying, right? Like, how would you even remotely sit there and, like, look at the window being open and the woman have one hand on it and just go, "You're fine. You're just you crazy kids. You're out there crawling around on the window. It's just not a big problem." It doesn't make any fucking sense. The terrified maid is seen screaming, "Hold me, hold me," just before her hand slips and she falls down to hit the awning, which appears to soften the impact. The employer made no reaction as she continued filming. And that is the worst part of it to me. That she made no reaction as she continued filming. And it's one of those things where in that portion of the world, you can very much tell that there is literally no fucking like love of human life. There's no respect of human life in that part of the world. It's meaningless there. It's just horrible. Later, paramedics rescued the maid and rushed her to a hospital where she was found to have suffered nose and ear bleeding and a broken arm. Well, I'm glad that's all. She fell 7 stories and landed on an awning. I thought it was like a metal container because of the dust, the way that it hit. And of course, the video is only 12 seconds long. Recruitment agents are accused of duping women into working as housemaids, leaving them isolated and abandoned in private households. Okay, well, that could explain the suicide attempt, which does make some sense. If it was, because it was an Ethiopian woman, a young Ethiopian woman in Kuwait. So how she got from Ethiopia to Kuwait is probably this recruitment agency. And then, of course, feeling like she's isolated and abandoned in this private household. So she figured the only way was to fucking jump, right? But then the complete indifference of the employers just shows you how little regard for human life that they fucking have. Let's see. The criminal investigation, police referred the employer to the prosecution over failing to help the victim. Well, at least in that regard, they value human life. The reason for the maid's attempted suicide were not revealed, although I'm pretty sure we can figure that one out on our own. She was definitely killed or trying to kill herself simply because, well, probably because she was isolated and abandoned in a private household. The Kuwait Society for Human Rights said on Friday that they called the authorities to investigate the case and refer it to court. The oil-rich Gulf state is home to more than 600,000 domestic helpers. The majority of them are Asians, many of whom complain of abuse, mistreatment, and non-payment of wages. Hundreds of maids escape their employers every year over abuse, and the government has set up shelters for them. Some seek help from their embassies. Okay, so, all right. Let's just like kind of unpack this for a second. So you've got recruitment agents that go to these countries. They scoop up people, promising them a job being a housemaid. 600,000 of them are in Kuwait, right? And so it's such a prominent problem, right? It's such a prominent problem that these people are legitimately trying, like they have shelters built for them. Like how fucking crazy is that, right? How fucking crazy is that shit? And that's just like, that's nuts. That would never happen here in the United States. And I find this story to be nuts. But see, the thing is, reading through it, right? I saw the video, so I had that instant reaction, right? And then I had that instant reaction to it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is fucking horrible. But I am curious to know, like, what do you guys think about this? So, yeah, Nicole Marie, the maid does feel like she's mistreated. That's the whole point. Is like, I feel like her going to commit suicide by jumping out of a 7-story building, it's just like, that's probably, it felt like a last ditch effort. Maybe didn't know that there were shelters in the country. If the majority of the maids in that country are in fact fucking well, what do you want to call it, if they are in fact Asian, then the Asians are going to know more about that than probably the Ethiopians and whatnot. So to everyone asking real quick about the thumbnail comes later, right? I gotta get you in. I couldn't think of a better fucking thumbnail. And the story about the thumbnail, that's an interesting one, because it's definitely crazy. But again, going back to this young girl, I feel really bad for anyone in those situations where that is like the only way out, right? And like a few months ago, I was on a cruise ship. Well, it was almost a year ago. And Carnival Cruise Lines hires people, very similar situations. They go to these countries where people are looking for any kind of work, and they hire them by like almost a boatload, literally. And they send them out there on these insane work schedules, and all the money they get, they just send back to, they send back home. And like the guy who was like the guy who cleaned our room was very much like, he was talking to us about like his daughter. Like he cries himself to sleep at night because he can't see his kids. And it's just like, they do the job, and Carnival isn't a horrible company, but it gives you this idea of how people in those countries are like, they'll move around the world in hopes of finding anything else. So, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to like look at the whole situation and kind of judge it, I guess, accordingly. But still, I'm glad she's alive, and I am glad that the woman's been detained and arrested, because that's like, I mean, that's the bystander effect. It's like the woman filming the fucking video basically sat there and like was watching the final episode of Seinfeld and was like, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm just gonna do that. It's fucking horrible, Like, you have to help. I don't understand how you can have such a low value of human life that in a situation like that, your first instinct is like, I'm just going to pull up my phone and start filming. So that is lame and retarded. So let's jump over to the next one here, where PETA says that milk is a symbol of white supremacy. Because apparently there's been this big thing recently about white milk being white supremacist, I guess. Which is just fucking nuts to me. All right, so PETA shenanigans vary from the absurd to the downright offensive, from likening rape survivors to pigs and cows, very true, to calling Pokemon a form of animal cruelty. PETA's efforts to save the animals always makes the headlines, and with good reason. They're completely absurd. Yeah, PETA's nuts, right? I will say, though, one of the best things PETA has done, just in terms of like what I thought was kind of funny, was they wanted to make an anti-Minecraft server, right? So there's like, they have a Minecraft server that's like PETA Minecraft, and you go there and it's all like forest and there's animals. You can't kill anything, but you can like build and do everything else. So it's like, you can destroy the world, but just don't kill an animal, and that's part of their whole thing. So that's just where their mindset is. It says here, the animal rights group today released a new video to cry over milk, equating the nutritious drink with Nazism, following the rise of the Trump derangement syndrome and the progressive left's hysteria over white supremacism. PETA states, did you know that milk has long been a symbol used by white supremacists? It's an alternative fact accompanied by an equally ludicrous video where they published on social media. They call milk the neo-Nazi drink of choice, stating that it has long been a symbol used by white supremacist groups as a thinly veiled allegory for racial purity. To back up the statement, they even said it played a prominent role in Jordan Peele's race comedy Get Out, with quotes from the director. I don't know if this is the thing. The person who wrote this article clearly doesn't know that Jordan Peele's Get Out is not a fucking race comedy. It's a racial horror movie. That is precisely what it is. Get Out is not like that at all. But okay. So the whole situation with white supremacists and milk has come about in the last like couple months now. Their first, was like, people go, oh, Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards drank milk, right? So clearly that's just Nazism, and then you've got, I think the big push recently was actually the He Will Not Divide Us stream, where you had a bunch of guys out there at the first one in New York City, where they were out there like not wearing shirts and drinking milk in the middle of the night. And there were some articles written about how that was like white supremacist and shit. And it was just fucking insane what they were attempting to do there. And it's crazy. Plus, you know, people have been trying to like go after just the stupidest crap lately in terms of all this shit. And here, I'll bring it up real quick here on the stream. So this is what we got right here. This is an image from the guys on the Shia LaBeouf stream. The He Will Not Divide Us right here. You know, that was one of the things that they're trying to say. This is white supremacist. It's literally the stupidest shit on the fucking planet. But of course, it pushes clicks, right? It pushes all of the dumb shit, and that's just precisely the fucking problem with it, is that this is what these idiots believe. And they, you know, this is probably part of the reason why we're in the situation that where we're in right now with YouTube and advertisers, because this is the kind of crap they're trying to attack. They're trying to say all of this is racist, even though this was just idiots drinking milk at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's so fucking dumb. But let's go into the weirder story that I found here. So this one is a Colorado woman's remains were found under the grave of a World War II veteran. Right? It's this fucking crazy story. So a Colorado man who pleaded guilty Friday to killing his estranged wife more than 2 decades ago recently led authorities to her body, which was buried under the grave of a World War II veteran. John Sandoval, 52 years old, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 25 years in prison for the 1995 death of Christina Tornai Sandoval. Okay. Murder of a spouse is common. It's horrible, but it happens. But to dump her body under the grave of a World War II veteran, that's just fucking insane, right? So as part of his plea deal, he told investigators that the remains were buried at a Greeley cemetery. Sandoval found an open gravesite early in the morning, October 20th, 1995, that was scheduled for burial that afternoon. Prosecutors say he dug about 2 feet below the grave and buried her body, which was wrapped in several layers of industrial-grade plastic. Cemetery workers then unknowingly buried the veteran over her remains. Okay, look, I may catch some shit from this, but I just simply have to say, that's ingenious as fuck. That is something you find in a movie, not in real life. It's just one of those things where it's like, the guy's like, okay, I killed her. What the fuck do I do? What the fuck do I do? All right. Oh, I'm going to go find an open gravesite. It's like just one of those things where you just like it was quite fortuitous for him in that moment in time. I'm glad he's busted. I'm glad he's going away for 25 years, but I'm kind of impressed at that because that's ingenious. That's something you see in movies. It never really works in real life. So it says here that day, the detectives found a wet, muddy shovel in Sandoval's car and muddy clothes inside his home. After he was arrested, investigators noted scratch marks on his neck and chest. Charges were not filed at the time because they couldn't find the body, any witnesses, or crime scene. Okay, so that's interesting that they were going to talk to him 20 years ago, but they couldn't charge him because they didn't have a body, which is funny because they've actually arrested people and convicted them without ever having a body. So I guess maybe just not in the state of Colorado. For 7,826 days, 3 hours and 22 minutes, all right, down to the minute, the location of Tina's remains have been a mystery. Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke said in a news release, over the course of the past week, we've finally been able to give her family what they so desperately wanted. Now, he was convicted in 2010 of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, but an appeals court overturned his conviction last year, ruling a judge wrongfully allowed evidence that Sandoval stalked other women, as well as expert testimony correlating stalkers and murderers. Prosecutors began preparing a new trial when he acknowledged the location of the wife's body. Interesting. So clearly the dude is a fucking, serial killer in training, a murderer, and a couple-time murderer. and he's on his way to being prosecuted for a murder in 2010, but then he ends up pleading out this for 25 years. That's an interesting. Okay, think about the logic there, just for a second. Think about the logic there. This guy's gonna be sentenced to life in prison, right? Life in prison, and he ends up turning it around and basically saying, I killed my former wife 20 years ago, and I'm going to get 25 years for this. So he's 52 right now. He'll be out when he's 77 if there's no parole or anything else. But he turned around life in prison and got 25 years because he confessed to killing somebody else. How the fuck does that work, right? Like, how the fuck does that work? It's so stupid. Oh my God. Court records show Sandoval had met his wife to settle a debt before finalizing their divorce. Before the meeting, she warned family members if anything happened to her. Her husband was responsible. She also arranged to talk with her sister by phone after the meeting. Okay, so I'm pretty sure they knew that he had killed her, but again, they had absolutely no way of knowing that before anything else. So holy shit, that's just, like, what do you guys think about that? You think the guy like did a good job covering his tracks and getting away with it for 20 years? And like he basically just like was able to figure, like, you know, I just, in terms of getting away with the perfect murder, that is something you don't hear about very often. The guy, and then using it as a way to plead down to a lesser sentence, right? Like that, that just cracks me the fuck up, because like you like this is shit you would hear about like in fucking movies and TV shows and crap. It's oh my God. All right, let's jump over here to the next story. This one is definitely a little bit wild. Makes a little bit of sense, and everything else. So what we got here is a local Mexican newspaper, right, is closing because of the killing of journalists. So, oh my God, that is just like, that's sad. That's sad here. So this came out today, actually, or 3:19 a.m. for tomorrow. This article came out ahead of time. It's early. A newspaper in the border city of Juarez announced on Sunday that it's shutting down because of the rampant, unpunished killings of journalists in the country have made it too dangerous to go on. Now, I'm not trying to make light of the situation there or the situation here on YouTube with ad revenue, but I have seen people make very similar claims. Right, it's too dangerous to go on. I have to shut down my channel. I have to leave in order to stay alive. You know, I mean, clearly it just, yeah. Norte executive Oscar Cantu, oh God, I'm going to butcher this name. Murguia, if I butchered that, I apologize. Informed readers of his decision in a farewell letter titled Adios that was published on the paper's front page and online. He cited the recent murder of journalist Miroslava Breach in the city of Chihuahua, which, like Juarez, is in the Chihuahua state. Breach was a reporter for the national newspaper La Jornada and had also collaborated with Norte. On this day, the esteemed reader, I address to you to report that I have made the decision to close this newspaper due to the fact that, among other things, there are neither the guarantees nor the security to exercise critical, counterbalance journalism. And I think the dude is pretty fucking right about that, right? I would argue this dude is pretty fucking right about that, because what you've got is look, it's Juarez, okay? Like, it's Juarez. That place is fucking horrible. It is horrible. And, you know, how many times do you hear about journalists getting killed, right? How many fucking times do you fucking kill about this? You know, you hear about this shit all the time. And it just, it's, it's just insane that it's so bad in Mexico that they can't tell these stories without fear for their lives. I mean, and you hear about this 3-4 times a year, I feel like, of journalists getting killed. So I don't blame this guy for getting the fuck out. He says here, everything in life has a beginning and an end, a price to pay. And if this is life, I am not prepared for any more of my collaborators to pay it, nor with my own person. He also mentioned ambiguous financial concerns that he blamed on authorities, the arrogant refusal to pay debts contracted for the provision of services. which I understand. It's like, you know, he's basically kind of running the whole thing down. It's like there's no money. Journalists are being killed. It's just not worth it anymore. And the most horrible thing about that is information, when it comes for this, when the information gets shut down and they're not able to talk, then you have got a situation where the cartels can control the entire story. The cartels can kill all the opposition. And it is very maybe similar to kind of what we're seeing here with old media and new media. Granted, no bloodshed, but maybe similar in ideas. And unfortunately, the people in Mexico now are doing like a lot of underground journalism. They're reporting on this stuff. I think like Narco Blog is a big one, and many of them have been killed. You know, many of them have been found to have been killed, and so it's such a dangerous game. I mean, you know. So yeah, I mean, at no point is this like, here's the thing too. It says at least 38 journalists have been killed in Mexico since 1992 for motives related to their work. I've, you know, there's been undercover journalists, or there have been, people that like, you know, run Twitter accounts that are critical of the cartels, or there have been like people who are activists there that are critical of the cartels. So it's not just the journalists that are getting killed for speaking truth to power. It's pretty much anybody. So, you know, and it's unfortunate because it basically makes you think that something along those lines is like fake news, right? Like or it makes you wonder, like, is it real? Is it fake? But the people are dying for it. So it clearly has got to be, real, you know? It's just, it's sad. It's really sad. Cause, I like hearing those kind of stories. But you don't get to hear them much anymore because it's so terrible down there. All right. So without further ado, let's jump in to the final story, the one that's on the thumbnail, the one everyone in the chat is bitching about the thumbnail. So what we got here is a woman who went on a sex tour reveals she has pleasured 700 men in just 3 months, claiming, "I am a woman of my word." And this story is true. I have reported on this before, I think, on other videos. This woman, an Italian model who launched a sex tour to thank men who voted no in a referendum on constitutional reforms, has revealed she has pleasured 700 punters in just 3 months. So that's 90 days, 700 dudes. She's literally blowing her way through Italy right now. But she has admitted that it's very tiring to suck that much dick. She has said this before. She has done 700 dudes in 3 months. And here's my question. And I brought this up last time too. How do you know? How does she know that they voted no on the thing? How? Right? Like, are they bringing in their ballot? You know, I mean, like, it's just a thing. So again, it's like, are the dudes just like faking ballots and like going and getting a free BJ? That's crazy. All right. So Paola Saulino, 27, has been spreading her love during her Pampa tour after announcing she wanted to perform oral sex on all the 19 million no voters last November. 19 million. And she sucked 700 dicks out of 19 million. That is like, look, I know girls out there have an oral fixation, but this is fucking insane. Insane. Is it 19 million people? You know, someone's going to go double the fuck up, right? They're going to put on a mustache and go, "Hello. No, you don't know me before." But it's crazy. All right. So, so as the world was stunned when the gorgeous Paola followed through with her promise, touring the country to pleasure as many men as possible. As her tour came to a close, she told the Daily Star Online the mission of love had been tiring. I'm just going to kind of scroll past her butt. She is so passionate about constitutional reform, she wanted to show her gratitude. And she lives in Rome and Los Angeles, and she was proud to have performed the sex act on around 700 men across the country on the tour, but she fell short of the 1 million she had set her sights on, admitting she could have done much more if she had more help organizing the sex quest. I don't think, look, I'm just going to be fair here, okay? I don't think this woman would need much help organizing a sex quest, right? Like, I'm gonna be at this place, right? There's gonna be a booth. You come on in, you glory hole it, you're done, right? hear this story and I think back to those like Houston 500 videos, you know, where you've got her, you know, Houston doing 500 dudes, and you've got the people out there that are like the dudes that got the fluffers that are working overtime and everything else. And like I could see that having, you know, being brought into this sort of thing, because she wants to suck a million dicks. Right? I mean, like, is that even remotely possible? Is that even like remotely? Oh wait, like, is it? I mean, look, like, how long does it take for the average? I mean, I don't know. Like, let's say 30 seconds. A lot of the dudes are going to be nervous, so they're gonna finish quick, right? And then other guys might be nervous that they're not gonna finish quick at all, so then they're stuck in that particular situation trying to figure it all out. Then I don't know. I mean, the math is just insane to go. But yes, I admire her ambition, right? Like, and the thing is, it's not just her who's ever made these claims before. There's been other people that have made these claims as well. But the truth of the matter is, those people have never really followed through, at least here in the United States. I've heard, you know, all that kind of shit all the time. But the fact that she's doing it is like, I feel like it's almost like the first of her kind. You know, like, I feel like this, like, Michael Moore should fly to Italy and be like, I want to document this shit, because this would get me a new fucking Oscar. So yeah, 9,001 dicks. So then she could at least say that she's done over 9,000. You know, it's just, oh my God. It cracks me up. It's one of the reasons why I saved this story. I saved this story for last, because of how crazy it is. So I figure, we can, oh, we could bring up the chat here, and then I can answer some questions in the chat. So let's bring that up. Right. If that's gonna work, it's not gonna work. All right, I'm still trying to figure this whole fucking goddamn thing out. So we're just gonna, all right. We're just gonna do that then. But welcome to the world we live in, guys. You know, welcome to the world we live in, where these kind of stories exist, right? How many dicks out of 19 million have I sucked? The answer to that is none. So I'm definitely sorry, nerdy. I'm not trying to get you in trouble with your girlfriend. Oh my God. Oh geez. This is one of the reasons why I love doing this show, because I really do look for these kind of insane stories. These ones that kind of maybe slip through the cracks, you know, and these all probably could have been individual stories on their own, but I think it's more fun to just, you know, make them and put it out there like this, and then also get like the crowd reaction from you guys. So, you need to delete this from YouTube history, probably. But he says, so, how many clits have I sucked? I'm not answering that question. Yeah, Mr. Shadow, the world makes you vomit every day, and sometimes it's fun to laugh at a woman who is attempting to very much break a record for how many penises that she has sucked. If she hits 1 million, it won't ever happen. I would say she might hit like 2,000 and call it a day. If it took her 3 months to do 700, right? Just by extrapolation, you're looking at what, 2,800 for the year? 2,800, and she's got 19 million. There's going to be like completely you know, she's going to be old before she finishes. So, oh, H3 uploaded a new video at the Wall Street Journal, huh? Nice. So, yeah, this is again, I wanted to just more or less run this one as a test to see how it played out. Hopefully, I should try to get some more people involved so we have a bit more back and forth commentary with this as we go forward. I will probably be doing another live stream here in a little bit for gaming. I'm going to try something out with that, but I wanted to run through this. So thank you guys very much for tuning in for the last 35 minutes. I had a lot of fun, and this was a good format, and I think we're going to stick with this going forward until I can get a camera in here. It'll be a lot more fun. And I'll chit-chat with you later because I'm going to go watch that H3H3 video. All right, guys. Peace out.